Question number 2, David Shearer.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. To the Prime Minister, on what date was he, his office or the Department of Prime Minister and Cabinet first informed that David Henry would not meet his deadline of the end of May as set out in the terms of reference for reporting back, and what reason did Mr Henry provide for the delay?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr Speaker, the terms of reference anticipated that Mr Henry would present his findings to Mr Kibblewhite and Mr Fletcher by the 31st of May. This was not strictly a deadline. The report was delivered 2 working days after that date. I'm advised that Mr Henry indicated to the Chief Executive of DPMC and the Director of GCSB early in the week ending 31 May that there was some risk to the anticipated timetable. He formally confirmed on the 31st of May that he would likely need to take an extra week to complete the report. As it happened, he only took 2 more working days. The reason given for the extra time was that Mr Henry was continuing discussions with one individual. Mr Henry said he needed to complete an interview and then finalise his report.
Supplementary question, David Shearer.
Does he stand by his statement on 29 May that, quote, he does not believe for a moment that his ministers or their officers leaked the report?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr Speaker, I do at the time I made that statement.
On a supplementary question, David Shearer.
Mr Speaker, does he know who leaked the Kitteridge report and who was it?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr Speaker, for certain, no, I don't know.
David Shearer, supplementary question.
Thank you, Mr Speaker.
Order.
Did somebody wake up over there?
Order. Supplementary question.
Why isn't he taking all possible steps to firmly establish what Mr Dunn leaked?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr Speaker, I think firstly Mr Henry is to be congratulated on an extremely thorough report. Secondly, that has led to an outcome of the resignation of a minister. Thirdly, the only point I could do is I could go and reconstitute the inquiry, arguably subpoena the emails, and to do so I would be subpoenaing the emails of Andrea Vance. Now, that's what the member wants.
Order.
That's what the member wants. So just as long as the gallery understand that the Labor Party want about a forage round in their emails.
That's right. Is it a supplementary question, David Shearer?
Mr Speaker, does he understand that there is an important difference between ministers' duties to hold confidences and the role of the media or the opposition to highlight information that has been disclosed to them, and why does he continue to confuse the two?
That's right. Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr Speaker, why does the member believe that it's okay to have one side of the story?
Point of order.
Mr Speaker, I asked the questions that he's supposed to answer them, I think.
Order, order, order. I'm going to ask the member to repeat his question, please.
Does he understand there is an important difference between ministers' duties to hold confidences and the role of the media or opposition to highlight information that has been disclosed to them, and why does he confuse the two?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr Speaker, I understand completely my responsibilities as Prime Minister. That was to try and get an answer to the matter. I commissioned a full report. Secondly, I understand the need for balance. So if we're going to have a full understanding of everything in those emails that Mr Dunn is not prepared to release himself, then we need to see both sides. And while we're at it, we'll get Phil Goff's emails about the MFAT as well.
Order. Order. I've called supplementary question from David Shearer.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Does he believe...
Order. I apologise to the member. Point of order, the Right Honourable Winston Peters.
Mr Speaker, why did you allow the Prime Minister to add that last part on when it's not part of the question or any inquiry, or, above all, the severe embarrassment the government's now under?
Because, as I interpreted the answer from the Prime Minister, I didn't think it was out of order at the time. Supplementary question, David Shearer.
Does he believe his ministers should be held accountable for leaking information that they had a duty to hold confidential? And given Mr Dunn's continued denials, how can he leave the matter there?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, it's quite clear the Minister has been held to account. He's been asked to comply with the inquiry. He's failed to do so and he's lost his ministerial warrant. But there's a simple way of clearing this up. Apparently Mr. Peters has got the emails. Maybe you could give them to Mr. Shearer.
Order. I have a point of order from the right. Order. I have a point of order from the Right Honourable Prime Minister, Right Honourable Winston Peters, and it will be heard in silence.
Mr. Speaker, that was totally outside of standing orders. The Prime Minister is meant to be terse and to the point. The last time that challenge came, he was told by me that his minister was gone. He laughed then, but he's not laughing now. The fact is, on the question of disclosure, of the 5 different electronic records there are, the Prime Minister is the person responsible for that, so we all have a true and full picture. And thank you for that point of order.
And it was not a point of order. Further supplementaries? Order. Question number 3, Katrina Shanks. Order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. To the Minister of Finance.